Hey, my name is Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and today we're covering the Endless Winter Pledge Manager. And to be clear, I put the little thing down below, but this is a sponsored video. And also, to be clear, the part that's sponsored is going to be me guiding you through the Pledge Manager and giving a bit of an overview of what's going on. The part that is completely and totally not sponsored is where I tell you what a great game Endless Winter is, how much I like it, how much I've been talking about it, how much I am looking forward to my own copy, how I put it as my #1 Kickstarter of 2020, and all that is completely not sponsored. But the part where I guide you through the Pledge Manager absolutely is. So just, pay attention to all of that and however it informs your opinion or all of that. But so I'm going to go through a few things. First of all, timestamps down below in case anyone wants to jump to a specific section. I'll be covering a brief overview of what's going on with the Pledge Manager, what's going to be slightly different, what might be a little bit confusing as you go through it, because some things are confusing. I'll be covering what it's like if you are not actually a backer and you're going directly to their pre-order page over here, where you can go straight here but you're not actually a backer, as opposed to jumping in as a backer and all that. And I think that's all I'm covering. But let's start with the brief overview. So, the brief overview, and then maybe at the end I'll talk about Endless Winter a bit, because why not? But starting off the bat, Endless Winter, as if you do not already know, doing the campaign, they basically cater to everyone's whims whatsoever. If people wanted different playmats, they would the bigger playmat, a smaller playmat, sure, here you go. A different configuration of playmats, yeah, have fun, why not? They basically completely over-offer the degree to which they will accommodate all the choices on the table, the degree to which they will accommodate what everyone is looking for in terms of the variety of different things people wanted, including the big box, by the way. That big box was not planned. They're like, nope, no big box, maybe future expansions will do it. Oh wait, you want it badly enough? Okay, sure, let's make it happen, why not? So basically, all those things, all those options, all those stuff basically combined into a bit of a nightmare of how many different things they actually have to manage. And to a degree, in order to make things easier, in order to manage SKUs, this is something I've talked about in the past in other videos I've talked about it around Dead Reckoning, I've talked about it other campaigns or whatnot, is the idea is that people don't understand how much work goes into the actual picking and packing of different SKUs. Of every single extra thing they offer is another opportunity for mistakes, is another thing that someone has to go to a different section and pick and pack and combine and bundle together and ship in different configurations. And so in order to minimize, not completely minimize, but in order to mitigate just how many different things are going on with a campaign that already has gotten more complicated than they initially intended due to their ability or preference to accommodate all the different requests on the table, they have a few things going on in the Pledge Manager that might be a little bit different, as well as some things that are just tricky from a sequencing thing of making the Pledge Manager work. And again, I'll go through this in detail shortly, but right now I'm just covering a brief overview so you know what to expect. Number one is going to be that most, if not all of the things, you can only get one copy of each add-on. This is not something where you can sit there and say, hey, we're going to buy, 14 copies of the base game, we're going to buy 3 copies of that expansion, 2 copies of that expansion. They're trying to mitigate the amount of different combinations there will be on the table. So every single pledge option you get, you have the opportunity to add basic add-ons. If you got the basic Pathfinder pledge, you can have 1 copy of each add-on. If you got the Chief pledge where you already have stuff, you can only get things that aren't actually already included with that. Again, trying to mitigate the fact that you might have someone who has a Chief pledge but also wants an extra set of resin markers and all that. So that's going to be the main limitation on the table. If you bought a 1+1, which we'll go through, the 1+1 was an aspect where you can basically get 2 copies of everything. In that case, you are allowed to have 2 add-ons. So the 1+1 allows you to have 2 add-ons to accommodate each of your copies and to have a little bit more flexibility about how you arrange things there. And then if you got getting from the actual pre-order page, well, there'll be a few things to note. The prices are going to be a little higher, which is a typical thing we see in Kickstarter nowadays. And it's going to be, well, it depends on the Kickstarter, of course. And the prices are going to range from like around $5 to $10 higher depending on the pledge level. And again, we'll go through that shortly, but that's only relevant if you aren't actually a backer of the campaign. And so with that general overview of what's going on, and then also there's a little bit of a thing with the playmat, because the playmat, depending on the configuration, they have to basically ask you, do you want it lengthwise, do you want it widthwise, which way do you want it? And so that's going to be another sequencing thing that we're going to have to go through. And so let's start off going through the pledge as if you are basically just starting with whatever your pledge level was. So if you jumped into the campaign, you backed it, you get your notification, your invite to the Pledge Manager, you're going to hop on over here, you're going to choose your country, which is pretty simple. You just choose your country, and then from there you're going to go to get started. From there, you'll confirm, and let's just show this over here. That's just the okay, got it, thanks. You can click on that, hidden behind my picture over there, and you just go to the next step over there, next to add-ons. And we'll talk about changing your pledge level shortly. We're going to go through the basic going through a pledge, then we'll talk about changing your pledge, and then we'll talk about it as if you were coming to the page with a complete no pledge whatsoever. And again, links to everything down below, timestamps down below, all of that. When you go to add on additional items to your pledge, you can see that I have the basic Pathfinder pledge, which means I can basically add everything that I want over here because none of those are included, so I can go ahead and add whatever I want. I can type into, and it won't work because I have to select an option. Once I do select an option, I won't work because I have to only add actually one item at a time. We'll go ahead and add the Rivers and Rafts expansion because, I mean, hey, I want to play with the Rivers and Rafts expansion. I've sadly only played with the base game, and I kind of want all of it. So we'll add that. You can see over here, of course, the sidebar. This is going to be a typical navigation in terms of back kit or whatnot. Of you can adjust things here. You can hit X, the trash icon, to remove anything from your cart. You can do all of that. But let's go ahead and get that big box upgrade because, I mean, that there's no language option there, fortunately, because it's a box. I mean, I guess technically the words on the box would be a language option, but it replaces the standard box, and that's worth knowing as well. This is going to be a replacement, not an addition, and so that's that. And let's go ahead and get the digital soundtrack, which is no CD included. But let's get a few more things. Why not? Let's get a little bit of everything. But oh wait, this is an option one. We're gonna go ahead and get the large playmat in one piece, and boom, there we go. Excellent. We're gonna go ahead and hit next, and okay. Okay, perfect. You're going to go ahead and enter your address over here, head to confirm, and basically done. Now, this is something worth noting. Depending on which pledge option you got, you may be presented with the question of how you want to handle the playmat configuration after you check out. That is something worth noting and paying attention to. If you are already back the chieftain option, in fact, let's go through that. So let's say you want to change your pledge. So over here, you can just go over here and click switch your pledge level. So from there, you click switch your pledge level, and then you can just choose what you want. I currently have the Pathfinder pledge over here. I don't actually have the Pathfinder pledge. I have the all-in. I'm just showing you what's going on. And so you can go over here. You can choose any of the 1+1s. Keep in mind that because of the limitation over here where everything's sorted by the price, you're going to have 1+1s potentially out of order. So if it looks a little bit confusing, you're like 1+1, what's going on here? Just factor that in, a little bit out of order depending on, well, price ultimately. But let's go ahead and let's go with a basic chief pledge over here. We're going to go with a chief pledge, not the non-English one, and we're going to go ahead and switch to that. You're going to get a little pop-up asking you to confirm. Are you sure you want to? All your stuff's going to reset. Yes, absolutely, because I want that chief pledge. We're going to go ahead and hit get started, and then you'll be presented with this question here of do you want the playmat in 1 or 2 pieces. And again, depending on where in the option depending on which pledge level you get, depending on if you're going to the pre-order store versus you're a backer, you might get that question at different points, potentially even after you pay on the pre-order store. Make sure you click around. These are all system limitations around a combination of backer kit trying to make everything work in the way that Endless Winter committed to during the campaign. So that's what's going on over there. I myself am going to get the 2-piece playmat because I don't know exactly how it's going to work on my table, and while I theoretically like the 1-piece playmat better from a stance of just rolling it up and storage, if it doesn't properly fit on my table and if it's a little bit annoying, I don't want to be stuck there without being able to utilize it. So I'm just going to play it safe and get the 2-piece playmat. We're going to head over there next to the add-ons, and you'll see over here, at this point, you can only get the small playmat, which is something that wasn't inherently included because you already had the large playmat. So you can get the small playmat over here. Obviously, the tip jar, there's no limitation on that. And then over here, the mammoth module. This is the only thing that you can get as an extra, even though it's already included in the chief pledge, and that was because what if you wanted to use the mammoth model as a first player marker even when you're using the mammoth module? So people asked for it, so yes, you can get the mammoth module even over here. Let's go ahead and add that because why not? And boom, we got our mammoth module. I'm not going to get a small playmat. That basic playmat should cover me. And so all of that is what we're going to have over here. Boom, boom, boom. Everything looks great. Head to next. And again, go through the sequencing, go through choosing your actual, your shipping destination, confirm, go through all those steps over there. And that is going to basically be the way you handle the pledge manager as an actual backer. Nothing too confusing, nothing too crazy, but if you're trying to add 3 of something and you're confused as to why things aren't working, well, it is working. It just may not be what you wanted because I mean, I don't know why. Why would you want 2 copies of the Rivers and Rafts expansion and 1 copy of the base game? I don't really know why, but either way. So that's going to be how you handle the Pledge Manager as an actual backer. Let's head on over to how you handle the Pledge Manager if you are coming to this campaign late, you heard all the good things, you watched my review, you've done whatever, and you're excited about this game, and unfortunately, you missed the Kickstarter. So I have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is you are going to be paying more for the pricing, which I did a full video on this a while ago about the nature of why things will cost more in the Pledge Manager, why it makes sense, why I'm not necessarily for it, but I'm certainly not against it, because I think it makes sense. If you don't charge more in the Pledge Manager, then you mostly incentivize people to always back at $1 as opposed to, you know, just backing you in the campaign. So it is a complicated subject. You know, maybe I'll link down below as to what my original video that I did a few months ago on the whole process there. But skipping all that, going back to the actual backer kit, to jumping into buying these games. So yes, so the most expensive upgrade is going to be the Pathfinder bundle, is going to be the biggest bump, but all the pledge options are going to have a small bump, again between $5 to $10 on the bumps. The higher the pledge level, the lower the proportionate bump as far as comparing to Kickstarter. From there, you're basically just going to choose what you want. Now, let's say you want that big box over here. There's no real add-on option here. You don't have the same level of flexibility and customization. You primarily have the 3 main pledge levels over there, as well as being able to choose the specific add-ons like the Mammoth, the digital soundtrack, the big box, all of that. So let's go ahead and get that Chief bundle over here. But, you know, let's actually not get the Chief bundle. Let's get the, I don't know, the Shaman bundle, because I've already done the other 2. Why not get this one? So you're going to over here, you're going to hit late pledge. You do not want to check out, unless, of course, you just want the Shaman bundle, in which case you do want to check out. But otherwise, you just hit X over here, and you can always go back to your cart at any point in the top right corner whenever you want. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and add the big box upgrade. We're going to hit late pledge. We're going to go to the checkout, but oops, we want to check out some other stuff. Maybe we want the Mammoth module. Maybe not. You know, this time around, we won't get it. Hit X. Whenever you're ready, just head on over to the little cart icon up there to check out. Again, you can go to checkout either from the card icon or from just adding things to your actual pledge. And that's basically going to be all the stuff over there. And then when you're ready, hit checkout, go through the options over here, hit next, next, next. That's, you know, not my actual address, if you noticed, because 500 test drive is not a real thing. That is my actual email, but that's in my YouTube description all the time, so who really cares there? And then from there, you're going to go to ship and validation. This is not a validated address because it's fake. Good job, BackerKit. I'm going to go ahead and submit the address anyways, and from there, you can enter all your credit card information, which, surprise, surprise, I will not do while this video is running. And then that's basically it. You will, once you go through there, if you have a playmat option, and even if you don't, just because of the nature of the situation, because they don't know if you picked something with a playmat or not, that after you go through this step is when you'll be presented with, do you want the playmat in 1 piece, 2 pieces, not relevant, or whatnot. So that is where you're going to answer the question. Even if it's not relevant, just choose not relevant, you're good to go. Or it is relevant, in which case choose how you want the playmat in that option. And that's going to be how you handle the late pledge of jumping into Endless Winter as a non-backer of the campaign. And that's basically everything. That's, you know, 1, 2, 3. Again, timestamps down below. And then past that, I mentioned you have good news or bad news as a late backer. And the good news is Endless Winter is a solid experience. I recently did a video of Dune Imperium versus Arnak versus Endless Winter. All 3 of which are in my collection. All 3 of which are possibly among my highlights of 2020 in terms of games. They're certainly, I mean, they're great games. All 3 of them are great games. But for me personally, Endless Winter is my favorite of the 3. It has amazing artwork. It has amazing, and by the way, this is all the non-sponsored part. This is just stuff I've said before, so I'm saying it again. But it has amazing gameplay. It has amazing variability. It's light enough to be appealing to people who aren't looking for a super heavy experience, and it's heavy enough to be appealing for people who aren't looking for a super light experience. It is, you know, right over here. You see the hunt for the perfect game. This is all the stuff I've said. I have been very hyped about Endless Winter since I first saw pictures of it, through my first play, through my subsequent playthroughs on TTS, through getting my review copy, through playing it in person. I'm looking forward to the expansions, what they add, the stretch goals, the modules, the actual finished copy with having all the art and the finalized components. I'm looking forward to this game because this is one that will be in my collection for a long time. Not necessarily forever. I'm not willing to commit that to any game, even one of my favorites, but time will tell on how that stands up. But ultimately, Endless Winter is one that, if I were a betting man, I would say this is one that you can expect to see in the BGG top 100, within a year or two after it hits. It's a solid game that I think many people will love. Judging by the other reviewers, almost everyone I know who has played this game has either loved or liked it, and combine that with the names, the art, the success of the Kickstarter, I think this is one that will do solidly well. They also managed to get like a million different partners for retail options, which will be different than the Kickstarter options, so pay attention to that, and that's basically it. That's everything that's going on with Endless Winter. I hope you enjoyed this pledge walkthrough, or hope it was helpful in some way. And as always, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one.